What are your dogs' names? Me. Calvin and Klein. Stranger. Isn't that an underwear brand? Me. Exactly. They're boxers. A woman's ode to chocolate. Chocolate satisfies even when it's gone soft. You can safely have chocolate while you're driving. You can have chocolate in public. If you bite the nuts, the chocolate won't mind. You don't get hairs in your mouth with chocolate. Chocolate doesn't make you pregnant. Size doesn't matter, but more is still better. My favorite exercise is a cross between a lunge and a crunch. I call it lunch. I've got a six-pack. I keep it nice and safe under my one-pack. Why are women so bad at eyeballing measurement? Because men keep telling them that this is 8 inches. I don't run. So, if you ever see me running, you should run too, because something is probably chasing me. A 17-year-old boy is being driven home from school by his mom. He says to her that a friend at school called her a Milf. All the mom could say was, "Oh yeah? Which friend?" I hope death is a woman. That way it'll never come for me. My wife gave me the most wonderful hand job the other day using Vaseline. I came another 2 times just trying to wash that shit off. There once was a lady named Sue. She didn't have much to do. So she pulled out the vacuum and went to the bathroom and found a new way to go poo. Ah, good old climate change. The made-up catastrophe used by globalists to instill fear and guilt so they can tax, regulate, and remove our freedoms while pretending to be saving the world. Today is National Steak and Blowjob Day. But if you're married, it's just a Monday in April. A little girl and a boy are arguing about the differences between the 2 genders, fighting about which one is better. Finally, the boy dropped his pants and says, "Here's something I have that you'll never have." The little girl gets pretty upset about this and she runs home crying. A little while later, she comes running back with a big smile on her face. She drops her pants and says, "My mom says that with one of these, I can have as many of those as I want." Son, Dad, what does gay mean? Dad, it means to be happy. Son, are you gay? Dad, no, son, I have a wife.
What you talking about, Willis?
I was in the taxi the other day and the driver said, "Do you mind if I put on some music?" I said, "No, not at all, go ahead." He said, "Kiss?" I said, "Let's listen to the music first and see how we feel." Studies have shown that our Earth is not overpopulated. The government is. I'm currently boycotting any company that sells items that I can't afford. A man is walking down the street when he notices his grandfather is sitting on the porch in a rocking chair with nothing on from the waist down. "Grandpa, what are you doing?" he asks. The old man looks off in the distance and ignores the grandson. "Grandpa, what are you doing sitting out here with nothing on below the waist?" he asks again. The old man slyly looks at him and says, "Well, last week I sat out here with no shirt on and I got a stiff neck." This was your grandma's idea. A professor was giving a lecture on involuntary muscular contractions to his first-year medical students. Realizing that this was not the most riveting subject, he decided to lighten the mood. He pointed to a young woman in the front row and asked, "Do you know what your asshole is doing while you're having an orgasm?" The young woman replied with a smirk, "Yeah, he's probably out playing golf with his friends." Ah, insurance. It's the only industry around whose entire business model is predicated on doing everything in their power to not give you what you paid for. A mother-in-law arrives home from shopping to find her son-in-law, Patrick, in a steaming rage and hurriedly packing his suitcase. "What happened, Patrick?" she asks anxiously. "What happened? I'll tell you what happened. I sent an email to my wife telling her that I was coming home today from my fishing trip. I get home and guess what I found? Guess! Yes, your daughter, my wife, Jean Alexandra Mitchell with Joe Bob Murphy in our marital bed. This is unforgivable. It's the end of our marriage. I'm done. I'm leaving forever." "Ah, now calm down, Patty," says his mother-in-law. "There is something very odd going on here. Jean would never do such a thing. There must be a simple explanation. I'll go speak to her immediately and find out what happened." Moments later, the mother-in-law comes back with a big smile. "Patty, I told you there must be a simple explanation. She never got the email. When two lesbians go out on a date, who pays? If the sea was weed and I was a duck, I'd swim my way down and smoke my way up. But the sea ain't weed and I'm not a duck, so pass me the spliff and shut the fuck up. What's a surefire way that you know you're getting old? When you're at the mall and you see yourself a hot Milf and you start wondering what her mom looks like. Insurance companies are trying to set new guidelines before approving Viagra coverage. What will they use to set those guidelines? A growth chart. On a farm out in the country lived a man, a woman, and their 3 sons. Early one morning, the woman awoke, and while looking out of the window onto the pasture, she saw the family's only cow lying dead in the field. The situation looked hopeless to her. How could she possibly continue to feed her family now? In a depressed state of mind, she went out to the barn and hung herself. When the man awoke in the morning to find his wife dead as well as the cow, he too began to see the hopelessness of the situation, and he shot himself in the head. Now the oldest son woke up to discover his parents dead and the cow, and he decided to go down to the river to drown himself. When he got to the river, he discovered a mermaid sitting on the bank, and she says, "I've seen it all and know the reason for your despair. But if you'll have sex with me 5 times in a row, then I will restore your parents and the cow to you." The son agreed to try, but after 4 times he was simply unable to get it up again. So the mermaid drowned him in the river. Next, the second oldest son woke up. After discovering what had happened, he too decided to throw himself in the river. The mermaid said to him, "If you'll have sex with me 10 times in a row, then I'll make everything okay." And while the son tried his best, 7 times, it was not enough to satisfy the mermaid, so she drowned him in the river. The youngest son woke up and saw his parents dead. The cow's dead in the field, and his brothers are gone. He decided that life was a hopeless prospect, and he went down to the river to throw himself in. And there he also met the mermaid. "I've seen it all, and I can make everything right for you if you'll only have sex with me 15 times in a row." The young son replied, "Is that all? 15? Why not make it 20 in a row?" The mermaid was somewhat taken aback by this request, and then he said, "Hell, why not 25 times in a row?" And even as she was reluctantly agreeing to his request, he said, "Why not 30 times in a row?" Finally, she said, "Okay, enough. If you'll have sex with me 30 times in a row, then I will bring everybody back to perfect health." The young son asks, "Wait, how do I know that 30 times in a row won't kill you like it did the cow?"